as a younger agent, maybe for someone maybe younger now getting into the business, you know, for me too, like I was 22, looked like I was 18, you know, coming out of the era of people losing their homes. You know, how did you overcome, you know, some of that, right? Because we were advising people that were 40, 50, 60 years old on this whole process of selling and buying at a time when there's still a lot of uncertainty going on of, is home ownership the right thing, right? You know, so I'm curious, how did you overcome that?
Totally. Yeah. You know what? And it's funny because still today, I'm probably younger than 90% of my clients, you know, but back then, and I remember actually being in a listing appointment one time, I sent a for sale by owner a letter. He called me. I'm like, oh my God, you know, they called. So I go to the appointment, I'm like there. And this guy, I ended up selling 2 houses for him. So it obviously worked out. But he said, how old are you? And I was like, you know, I'm like 24. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, good for you for working at 24 first, you know, good for you. You know, he said, I feel like most people your age are not out here hustling. And he said, but this is an expensive house, you know, and this was a nice house. It was in River Trace neighborhood off of Dublin Road. Those houses are now probably 700,000. At the time, it was 365,000. And, you know, he was like, this is a big investment, you know? He's like, you know, why would I work with someone that frankly is younger than my kid, you know? And, you know, I just said, I'm like, listen, like, everyone starts somewhere. And if you don't give me a shot, you know, I said, just give me a shot. I'll work my ass off for you. I said, the difference between me and other realtors is that I absolutely need this and I will do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah.
And so I said, I can guarantee you that some other people might come in here and have more impressive resume. They're going to have more experience, but I can tell you that I am going to work so hard to get this done, not just because I want to succeed, but because I need this. And he was like, I'll give it a shot. You know, he's like, I'll give it a shot. And he signed a 90-day listing agreement with me. And again, this is not, you know, again, 2013, the market is so much different. I sold it in like a month, which now that house would sell with multiple offers in 2 days, you know, but, and I got that all the time. You know, that was just one that I remember because this guy just intimidated the hell out of me. And so I just remember that specifically.
Yeah. And I honestly think that new agents don't lean into that enough.
Completely agree.
You know, I think they're so afraid to even have that conversation to just say, hey, like, I am new. I don't know it all. You know, for me, like, it was the same thing. Like, hey, I don't know it all, but I have 2 experienced agents on my team that I can bounce anything off of. And I learned hard lessons of, like, you know, trying to BS my way in and out of conversations and then have to go back and be like, hey, Roger, what I just told you an hour ago actually isn't true. Actually, this is what, you know. And so, but I think a lot of, you know, I think actually, though, my clients respected the fact that I just started to get to that point of just saying, hey, I don't know, right? Let me go get that answer for you. I promise I'll get it for you and I'll call you in 2 hours.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And that was one thing that I was always really fortunate to have. I always felt like I had good support around me. You know, I was trying to figure it out and I always felt like I had people that I could rely on and ask questions to. And that was really, really always helpful. And, you know, as I got more experience and more confident, I was okay with just saying, hey, you know, I'm not sure, you know, but it, you know, you get more comfortable. You know, you get one under your belt, then you get a couple, then, you know, you feel better. And I will tell you this though, you never know it all in real estate. Okay. I get transactions today, you know, 12, 11 years later, however many transactions under my belt now, there are things that happen in a transaction today where I'm like, well, that's a first, you know, Can I figure most stuff out on my own nowadays? Generally, but it is not uncommon for me to pick up the phone and call one of my colleagues. I mean, I call Mandy constantly and say, this is what happened. Like, what would you do? You know, just to bounce stuff off, like all the time. I mean, I call agents on my team that technically work for me and say, hey, this conversation I had, how would you handle this? I mean, that is so important and it's such a nice thing to have. And I mean, that is such a fortunate thing to have too. And I will never not give credit to that, because I will say that is a huge thing. And even I would call Sandy, I would call people from her team, and they were always so helpful. They never, and I feel like I have always surrounded myself with these type of people, but the people that are always willing to help and collaborate and not look at it as competition.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is humongous. I mean, it's just, that can make all the difference. And I will always give credit to those people. And I mean, work ethic or not, and no matter how driven I was, I have got to give credit to the people that were willing to answer the phone and help, because that helped a lot.